I've had a lot of questions come in lately from viewers asking me to talk more about depression, how to deal with it, how do I stop being depressed, how do I move through it, why is this happening, why am I stuck, nothing ever changes. Oh friends, let's talk. So I've done a few videos on depression and I want to do an additional one because I'm getting so many questions, and it is also one of the topics on my channel that is the most highly viewed of all the topics I talk about. And it is one that I have struggled with on my own, and that's why I want to share with you and share what I have learned and some of my own experiences. I think it's really helpful to know that you are not the only one going through this, that you are not alone, you are not weird, there's not something wrong or defective with you, and that so many people deal with depression at some time, or sometimes it's an ongoing long-term thing. So there's strength and power when we know, and healing, when we know that we are not alone in how we feel. And that's why I want to share my stories with you. So one of the times that I can recall dealing with depression, I was going along, everything's great and feeling good, and then it just seemed like all these little bombs were going off in various interpersonal relationships. And it just seemed to be one thing after another. All these little fires that were erupting all around me in different relationships with work and things like that. And it just seemed like every other day there was another big drama to deal with. So I'm going along, dealing with things really well, keeping a sense of detachment and keeping really positive and keeping this positive focus and just not letting things blow me around and affect me, seeing them for what they were and staying really positive and feeling good. And then one more thing happened and I slid down. And that was it. Suddenly that objectivity that I had was gone, and now I was reactive. Now I needed attention. I wanted to get loud and wanted to be heard, and now I was creating a drama of my own, feeling hurt and wanting that hurt to be tended to. So what happened is, as it tends to be with depression, is it just became this downward spiral, and I slid down and down and down until I was kind of just at the bottom, and I was just telling myself horrible things about my worth, my lack of worth rather. And and that's what you do when you're depressed, is that you keep putting yourself down. You tell yourself you're a piece of shit, you're not worthy, you don't deserve to live, no one would love you or like you, you have nothing good to offer. And until it just compounds until you get lower and lower and lower, and it just hurts to go through every day, and every moment is painful. So I got to this point where I was so low, and just, I remember at one point feeling so miserable, and I was laying on the hard floor in my misery and my thoughts and thinking and ruminating. And I just noticed at one point that I had been paying attention to my breathing without meaning to, just noticing my inhale and exhale, and that started to calm me down. And then as if someone was talking to me, I asked myself this question: why are you doing this to yourself? Why do you keep thinking this way? And I knew that there wasn't something that someone else could tell me to make it all better. It's not that someone could come up to me and say, Renee, you're great, you're fine, everything's all right, and I would just snap out of it and life would be great. While those things would make me feel better, I knew that wouldn't be more than a temporary solution. And I knew that I had to pull myself out of this. And that's, I think, where depression sometimes beats us, because to make that leap from down here to I can do this and I can climb out is the hardest part. And that's sometimes where we may think about it and look up and say, no, too much work, can't do it. Why bother? And when you're depressed, you feel hopeless. You have this absence of hope that things can get better. So why bother trying? And to make that leap is the biggest, most important, and most courageous step you can take when trying to get yourself out of depression. So what I would recommend is instead of saying, well, I have to go from being at the bottom to total 10 and positive focus and doing great and life is wonderful. No, just come up a little bit. Just come up to 1 or 2 and release any expectation of having to be a certain way. Try to open up the window a little bit bigger. Try to change your thinking just a little bit. Because I know when I start to get depressed, what I'm doing to myself is I'm wearing this tutu. What I mean is, you're wearing a tutu. You're too skinny, too fat, too young, too old, too poor, too this, too that, whatever. It's something, you're too this, you're not good enough. You don't make the mark. You're not adequate. And so that thinking is just gonna bring you down, down, and down, and down. So take off the tutu. Stop wearing your tutu. The second thing I want to bring up is the question that I have been asked. I've been called out on this. And the question was, how much do you identify with the idea that you have to struggle in life? And when I was asked this question, I was like, oh shit, yeah, okay, you got me there. You know, if you have this idea that not only do you may have learned that, well, life is hard, life isn't fair, and not only do you have to work to get what you want, you have to work hard to get what you want. So it's not just work, but hard fucking work. And so that kind of makes, we go through our life sometimes believing, well, relationships, you gotta be hard, you gotta work hard, and our job, and to make money, to be successful, to have the things you want, the lifestyle you want, it's gotta be hard, and you have to struggle, and if you haven't killed yourself to get it, something's wrong, because you haven't suffered enough. You haven't killed yourself and flattened yourself enough to have what you want. So sometimes when we believe that, we act that out, and our circumstances will reflect that. Instead of not trying to control everything and feeling like we have to do it all and take all of it on our shoulders. Yeah. So sometimes when we think that way, we create the situations that fulfill that idea that we have. So if we can maybe let go of that grip a little bit and allow, and believe me, that's a tough one, I know, especially when you're used to taking charge and you gotta do everything and you're a go-getter type. It can be really tough to step aside. And that doesn't mean you rest on your laurels and you do nothing, but that means that you maybe have a little bit more detachment from the outcome. I hate that, I know. So people have said that to me, I'm like, what do you mean? It's hard to do, but it's more kind of taking a stance of having a little bit of relaxation with your expectations, that you still keep striving for it, you still keep moving forward, but that you don't struggle and hold on so much. So those are 2 things that have helped me come out of that deep pit of depression. Depression feels horrible. It's like I said earlier, it's like every minute of your existence can be really, really painful. And depression is something that deserves a voice and it deserves attention, and we need to heal. So I'm sharing all this with the hopes that it has helped you as well. So if you have any comments, please leave it for me below the video. And as always, thank you so much for watching, sharing, and subscribing. Thanks so much, everyone. I'll catch you next time.